Galactic Standard Date. Year 11356. Day 96. Sol Standard Date. 4th of the 8th. 3267. Semenov slammed another swig of his semagon as he veered the ship to the side, avoiding a blade of fire that the priest had fired.
Anya, start the music. Let's get our murder on.
Anya flipped through the tracks and landed on Sabaton Steel Commanders.
I think this one will do just fine, Captain.
Semenov smiled.
Ah, the classics. You know me so well.
He fired another shot into the oncoming group of Azarians as he monitored the progress of the drones. Another green blade grazed the hull of the ship as Semenov narrowly dodged.
Ha! You won't hit me with something like that. We should focus on speed, power, and stealth. In that order.
He weaved his massive ship through the oncoming blades of Veilfire like it wasn't a 4-mile-long behemoth. Blades would occasionally clip the armor and gouge out sections that were feet deep, but nothing had penetrated the hull yet. Another shot had fully charged, but now he was searching for the warlord. In between dodging shots and sipping his bottle of Samo, he checked the scans.
Where could it be hiding? They're bigger than us. Gah!
He yelled, as he sent another slug barreling through the largest grouping of Azarians he could find. After he made the shot, he got a notification from the tactical map that the drones had finally made it to the main group of Azarians. Semenov chuckled as the Azarians ignored the tiny devices.
They might only be a little larger than a child, but they're still weapons. I'll teach you why you shouldn't be so lax in a war zone.
He pressed the big red button. Blinding light erupted in a massive arch all around the moon as the nuclear drones went off. Then the antimatter drones went off. The nukes paled in comparison as the antimatter charges detonated and simply erased an area of space from existence, as if it had never been there before. Semenov checked the tactical map for a readout of enemy numbers. He watched the red dots wink out by the dozens, until a scant few hundred were left. He smiled as he watched the particles of Azarian fly off in all directions before they were pulped by the force of the nukes. Fire can't exist in space after all. The radiation left over was cooking some of the Azarians, but they would live. Semenov was brought out of his reverie as a blade of Failfire came into view.
Shit, it's still alive!
Just then the tactical map pinged with new enemy sources coming from the planet below, at the other side of the moon. Another Azarian warlord came up from the atmosphere of Endor, and the source on the other side of the moon was the hidden warlord. The priest finally came out of the crater in the moon as the warlords came out. Semenov sighed as he angled towards the biggest hole in the enemy net, made by the antimatter drones. He gunned the engines, and charged up another shot.
This isn't going to work in the big guys with that priest still living. We need to somehow get through his shield. Any ideas, Anya?
Anya pursed her lips as she considered the question.
Well, we could use the few remaining antimatter drones as landmines to try and lure it into them.
Semenov clapped her on the shoulder.
Ha! Fantastic stratagem!
He yelled, as he dropped the few remaining drones in 15-mile intervals. Let's leave them inert so that no suspicions are raised. They will only trigger on remote detonation. He sighed as he flipped the ship around and fired at the warlord coming from the moon. As expected, the priest shielded the warlord.
Nothing more than the bite of a nut to you, Ha. We will see how you feel about antimatter,
he said, as he turned back around and gunned it. The warlord coming from the moon was gaining on the Bessemer, and Semenov clicked his tongue and turned to fire at the one farther off. Now that it was out of the planet's atmosphere, he didn't need to worry about accidentally triggering a mass extinction. The slug shook the Bessemer as it left at nearly the speed of light. The warlord just barreled straight ahead as a shield popped up in front of it. The shield was weaker, seeing as it was thrown up so far away from the priest, but it was enough to arrest most of the momentum. The slug harmlessly bounced off the veil-hardened skin of the warlord. Semenov watched with bated breath, as the priest was nearly in range of the drone minefield. Just before he detonated the drones, he felt a tug at his mind, and then a voice rang out in his head. "Oh, you poor livestock. You thought that I would fall for your petty human trickery, didn't you? Weak. It is a miracle that you were able to insult the All-Father's magic in the first place. Oh, if you wanted me to die at the hands of those toys, then you shouldn't have shown me the effects they had beforehand. I'm going to keep you alive as a slave. I'll skin you alive and then heal you only to do it again. I'll eat you piece by piece, and then heal the damage to your flimsy body. I will destroy your mind." He shivered, as the drones were engulfed in green fire and evaporated into nothingness.
"Anya, the priest just spoke to me. It destroyed the drones. Oh, Bacillus."
She looked at him like he was crazy until she saw the haunted look in his eyes.
"But no Azarian has conversed with a human until now. This means that Mel has been breeding them smarter. Oh no. We have to get a message to the Imperial Command right now.
Semenov felt cold as the realization that there are intelligent Azarians sunk in.
This explains why Bjorn couldn't finish this. They went into this fight expecting the Null ship with Zogrush tactics. Haha, if we hadn't been using prototype tech, we would have already been finished.
He knocked back the rest of his bottle and tried the quantum communications.
Ha! Even quantum comms are being blocked right now. We were being lured into a trap this whole time.
Anya clenched her fists and looked to her captain.
We can't hit them with the main cannon. The priest will just block it. All we have left is the Bessemar itself. We can detonate the core while it tries to eat the ship.
Semenov smiled and pressed a button on his control board, opening communications for the whole crew.
All stations, abandon the Bessemar. Try to get down on the ground to help quell the invasion until somebody else jumps in. Hopefully, this last-ditch effort will work.
The crew on the bridge all turned and stared at Semenov for a moment, before turning and nodding to each other.
Nonsense, Captain. We'll all go with you until the end, came from one end of the ship. We die together, came from another.
Anya smiled at him.
You must think little of us to believe that we would abandon you when the shit gets thick, Captain.
Semenov grit his teeth, as he turned the ship around and stared down the priest. He slowly increased the speed until he hit the maximum, then he initiated the core overload. He took a deep breath and sat back, taking in the sight of his loyal friends and allies. The ship's computer chimed out with 90 seconds until detonation. 60 seconds until detonation. 30 seconds until detonation. Semenov stared at the empty bottle in his hand and sighed.
It has been great serving with you all. May Basilisk guide us well.
The crew all tipped what was left of their own bottles and cheered. He watched the priest get closer and closer through the video feed and threw up a middle finger. Just then, a bolt of lightning suddenly exploded into his view, and warnings began to blare out.
Warp tunnel confirmed in close proximity. Please evacuate to a safe location immediately. Warp storm imminent.
Semenov froze for a second before he slammed the Bessemar into reverse and cancelled the core overload. His heart was hammering in his chest as the ship groaned from the sun changing direction. He managed to get up to 50% speed before lightning cut across the Bessemar, scarring the armor and temporarily shutting down the ship's main reactors. The lights dimmed for a moment before the secondary reactors kicked in. Then his video feed was taken up by a man in a fully red robe and hat, adorned with only a gold cross. Semenov chuckled for a moment and slumped as the tension left his body.
I didn't expect you.
The man smiled and struck a pose. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.